So welcome everyone to today's session of the eCop meeting. Today we're going to be talking about quality assurance in e-learning and some of the processes that are out there and what people are doing. I've been working on a project, the Regional TAFE Alliance project, where we are developing content and sharing amongst the regional TAFEs in Victoria. So there's 7 regional TAFEs, but we've got another member joined us from Ballarat. So there's 8 of us in the group. Now, it's interesting because we were harvesting a lot of content from all the different TAFEs, and what we discovered was sometimes the content wasn't as good as what we would like it to be. So we've had to put in some processes of how to evaluate that content, and also after we've worked on it, to some ways of checking it, because it's amazing, you know, you're working on something and you don't really see the mistakes that you've made. Now, I'm just going to check something here because I don't know if I'm being recorded. No, it's working, so that's good. So what we're going to talk about today is what everyone has been doing at their workplace, and then we'll share different processes. So have we got anyone who wants to volunteer and tell us what they've been doing? Lots of proofreading, yeah. So, Alicia, when you say proofreading, is the content being developed? Do you have someone else proofread it for you, or are you doing the proofreading yourself? We'll just wait for Alicia. She's writing in the chat. If you can take the microphone, that'd be great, Alicia. Okay, a couple of us are proofreading. Can you take the microphone, or have you got that facility?
Yep, how does that sound?
That's great. That's really good, because it's nice when people listen back over the recording that we can hear your voice. So it'd be great if anyone can, if they're going to share, it would be great to do it audio, you know, use the audio. So Alicia, how are you doing the proofreading? Like, are you the one developing it and then someone else proofreads yours, or do you do your own?
No, often the content's developed by someone else and it gets sent to me for proofing.
Oh, okay. So is your main task then is to edit the content? Is that?
Yes, a lot of the time, yes.
Yeah, okay. Very good. And what do you find is the most common issues?
Oh, I could list a few.
I'm interested, actually. I'm really interested, because they're the things that we've got to look out for when we are developing.
Well, I think a lot of the things that I come across could probably be picked up by people if they proofread their own work to begin with.
Yeah.
Readability, I think, is one of the biggest ones. Often sentences become quite wordy and convoluted rather than, you know, nice and clear.
Yeah.
So that's another big one. And also, yeah, mainly just making sure that the information is clear and concise, you know, rather than communicating that information in, you know, several paragraphs, condensing it into a single paragraph, or even better, into some kind of a visual diagram or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Or having that to complement the information.
That's really good advice, actually. That's wonderful. And how long have you been putting that process into play?
Sorry, what was that? I was just reading.
Sorry. Yeah. How long has that process been in place at your, and whereabouts are you, Alicia? Sorry.
I'm at Tocal College.
Oh, yeah, you're there too, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a contractor though, so I work from home.
Yeah.
Yes, well, since I started with Tocal in March last year, that is essentially the process that I've been following, I guess, from day dot.
Yeah.
There isn't a formal process in place at this stage that I'm aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Tash could shed light on that.
Yeah. We're still finding tuning.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Like Tash mentioned, it is something that is it's very much a hot topic.
Yes, yes. And we're finding the same thing at the Victorian TAFE Association with the project that we're working on. And what the process we've been working on our latest journey is we have we create the content and then we get one of our colleagues to review it, and they pick up different things. But we also use an editor, outside editor, who goes over it with a fine-tooth comb and picks up things like the voice in the content. Also punctuation.
Yes, that's a big one.
Big one, actually. It's really amazing.
And just also consistency in style as well, because obviously there are some variations in style.
Yes.
You know, and one thing that I have come to learn is that Tocal does have a house style, which is something that, you know, I've never worked with a specific house style before. So learning what that is, but also making sure it's consistent throughout the organisation.
Yeah, exactly. And that, so that's probably the people that are doing the final edit sort of can pick up that. And we're working with a lot of harvested resources, so it's being written by different people, and therefore if we're grabbing something from one place and then from another place, it can be different, so it needs to be consistent. So that's some of the things that we're picking up. Has anyone else got anything to share? I'm just having a look at the chat there. At the Gordon, we've got Glenn there, and Glenn, can you share us any light to how the Gordon handles the quality assurance?
Hi, Christine. Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear. Thanks, Glenn.
How do we handle quality assurance, particularly here at the Gordon? Look, probably much the same as we do on the PTA project, Christine. That is to say, you know, whoever, if we develop something, we get someone else to review it. You know, probably the further they are away from that particular qualification, the better. In some respects, just to sort of get fresh eyes. You don't want to get anyone who's, you know, too close to it. We tend to probably treat the content and assessments differently, so different people might be looking at the content and the assessment. But yeah, look, nothing special, probably pretty much the same way as everyone else does it, Christine.
Mm-hmm. And what are the main things that you pick up as far as the editing goes?
The main things that I pick up are probably, look, with respect to my own stuff, certainly someone picked up on my stuff in horticulture that, you know, it was a certificate 2 unit, and when the subject matter expert came along and had a look at it, you know, he was quite adamant, quite rightly, that in actual fact, you know, I needed to remove some of the bigger words from it and just and make it more suitable for a Cert 2 student. So that was a bit of a awakening for me. I was probably, you know, more prone to just kind of say, well, let's make this as appropriate as possible, not realizing that, you know, I needed to, in actual fact, just tone it down for the students in terms of the language that I was using. So that was a sort of a personal failing, I guess.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. And I think writing in plain English has always been a good idea when you are developing content, because depending on, you know, the levels that people are coming in at, even if they are doing a diploma, there may be no prerequisite, so they're not a diploma student at the start, they will be at the end, so maybe, you know, it's looking at that also. How is anyone, Dora, have you got anything to add to that?
We have a group of teachers, and they edit each other's, or they view it, and that's, at the moment, it's not assessment, it's just learning resources that we are putting online. Yeah.
Very good. And you're developing quite quickly too, aren't you, at AIMS? I believe when I was speaking to some of the developers, they were saying they've got to create a lot of content fairly quickly.
Yes, we are using 3 teachers to create content about an hour's content every day. So I think about 4 or 5 hours of content a week for
Right.
levels, and they get time release, and they also get support from the a Moodle team, let's
Oh,
call it
yes.
that, in
Yes.
terms of putting them up, but they also put them up. We, after listening to your presentation on H5P or 5,
Oh, yes. H5P, yeah.
we looked at it as well,
Mm-hmm.
and it is part of our Moodle as well. We get it from eWorks, and so our teachers have started creating quite a lot of content using
Good.
that.
Good.
So you were instrumental in us using it, or starting to use it anyway.
Oh, I'm really pleased to hear that.
Yes,
That's really
and they are using that, but part of it is, also finding the content, because it's all about teaching English. Sorry, we're having a test.
Oh, are you? Okay. Yes, yeah, and that's a good point, finding the content and finding good content, and then the issues with copyright. How many people are actually writing their own content in our room today? Yep, Kylie, you're writing your own content. Now, Kylie, you're, is it real estate? Am I correct in saying that? Would you like to take the mic, Kylie? Loud here today. Okay, she's got, so Kylie's in a shared office, which a lot of us can be in, and that can be quite noisy, so it's hard sometimes to take the microphone. But I'm interested to hear, Kylie, how you deal with quality assurance in your area. You write the content. Do you get subject matter experts to review it, or are you a subject matter expert? And how do you go about checking it for consistency and all those things in grammar and punctuations and things like that?
Sorry, it's Dora again.
Yes, Dora.
We use subject matter experts, so our teachers who are teaching
Yes.
are writing the content, but in some instances we also have content because AIMS has been creating resources and selling them for a number of years. So we can,
Great.
what we already sort of have and adapt it, which helps, but it still is a lot of content to fill.
Yes.
It's very time consuming.
Very much so. So a lot of your resources would be paper-based, so you're converting them into an online space. Would that be correct, Dora?
Yes, they were paper-based with video or audio, but we are not doing that with all of them because we are still selling them, so we don't want to water them down. However, we do have materials that perhaps aren't being sold anymore, but you can find content and adapt it, and especially audio files and maybe video as well, so that helps.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, I'm just reading what Kylie's written. All the teachers that write are subject matter experts. They have a team, so reviewed by another, also reviewed by industry. And that's a really good point, because you really want to make sure that you are up to date with industry. So that's good. Anyone else like to share? Jeanette, would you like to share in your experiences? And you've worked for many TAFEs.
Unmuting. No, I'm just here to learn at the moment. So,
okay, that's fine.
But I think what I've heard so far resonates with me. But I was interested to hear Alicia's concept of the voice.
Yes.
Because I think often that's what we struggle with in large organisations, is because we have multiple authors. There's no consistency between different products and maybe even deployed to the same client, so they're getting quite a distinct view. So if anyone comes up with a good strategy to get around that, I'm into that one. And sorry, I've got a bit of a cold, so I'm struggling to talk.
Yeah, no, that's okay. But thank you for sharing. That's really good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've done at the project that I'm working on with Glenn and quite a few others, we've got some standard things that we use when we're developing content. And I'll share this with you just so that you can see. I'm just going to escape from there for a moment. And we have these reusable place things we can use. So, for instance, if I want a think box, and so that we've got this consistent, because we've got 8 people developing content in Moodle. So we want some consistency between the units, the different units. So we've got these developed by one of our developers, and we just copy the code, put it into the HTML, and it creates these little boxes so that we have that consistency. So if we're going to use a video, we have the name of the video and how long it goes for, and then we place the video inside here. If we've got an activity, we use this placeholder, I suppose that's what I can call it, a placeholder that actually has the content in. If further information, if we want some sort of alerts, we've got different colours for different things. If we're doing interactive elements, we can put a button in. We've got accordion that we use so that we don't have scrolls and scrolls of content. We use an accordion, and that sort of opens up, and we can put content in there. Also, making tables look nicer. We've got a placeholder for this also, and what we got here, models, view larger image. So it's a code that you can click on it and the image will come quite big. So these are the things that we use at the Regional Tape Alliance, in the Regional Tape Alliance project, which is with the Victorian Tape Association, just so that we are consistent when we are developing content. It just helps. And if I sort of gave you an idea, I'll just turn off the editing. So if, for instance, I look at a unit, I'll just go into one of mine, and maybe, oh, well, we'll just go, this is what I'm working on at the moment. So if I go into here, we've got a set template, so it makes it consistent throughout. And then if we've got instructions, so in each of the units I would have something like the eLearner worksheet, so I'm making it consistent, always instructions about where to go. We are using the Snap theme in our development, and each book would have an image, and inside would be the content. And as we go through, we've either got embedded images, and if I'm using a video, I'm putting the name of the video, how long the video is. We haven't been actually adding the transcript because usually there is transcript in YouTube. So another video. I'm just looking for some other things that we can show. The biggest problem, I think, is how much time have you got to develop? And that's what we're challenged with at the moment. If we're developing content and we've got a tight timeline, because you can keep on improving as you go along, but how's everyone situated with time-wise when they're developing content? I'd love to hear your comments on that one.
Before we talk about that, can I ask, do you have the content, people creating the content in just a plain Word document that you can then transfer to the system?
Yeah. This particular content's been written by a third party, and it comes in a Word document. And what I've been using is the plugin to convert Word documents into electronic books in Moodle. And if anyone hasn't used that plugin, it is very good. It is so easy to use, and it just comes in really good. Making sure that when you've got the Word document that you do use styling. So if you've got heading ones, You really need the heading ones because they're the one that comes into the book. And then that'll create the book for you. So if you spend a little bit of time making sure your Word document has got that styling, but the beauty of using that plugin, converting it into Moodle, it doesn't, you know how often when you copy from Word into Moodle, you get all these strange things happening sometimes. It brings in a lot of code that you don't want. So by converting it comes in really nicely. Now I'm just reading what Natasha has written. Really depends on the project. Some have tight timelines and others are not as time dependent. And I suppose every project can be a little bit different. We are restricted for time, so we have to, you know, draw the line in the sand. This is how long you've got to do it, and this is what, you know, you need to achieve. I'd like to hear from others. Kylie, what's your time limit on writing content? And is there, like when we talk about quality assurance, I mean, quality is, how do you measure quality? You have to have certain criteria for your quality. And, you know, if the criteria was that it's not going to be very expensive and, for instance, if I bought a watch at, say, the reject shop, I expect it's not going to last forever. But if I bought a watch at the jeweller's, I expect it to last much longer. So I think when we think about quality, what is the measure of quality? I think that's really important. Varies, yes, very challenging at times. Yeah, trying to fit in. So what is your benchmark for your quality, I think is the biggest thing. Any comments on what you use as a benchmark? No comment. I mean, you really want to produce the best you can, don't you? But I mean, you have got time limits, and I suppose, yeah. And you have, yeah, we just, and different jobs might have a different benchmark. I mean, if we've got a project that requires it to be A1, then you obviously would have to have more time to do it. And then something that you really need to get it out quick and fast, and maybe it's something that you produce at a certain level with the intent of going back and continuously improve it. Do you have any processes in place where you get feedback from both the learners and the teachers so that you can improve on the next time it's delivered? Anyone? I know at GoTAFE, where I'm based, we, in our Moodle shells, we have a continuous improvement forum. Yeah. Yes, course evaluations. Yeah, course evaluation. And that, do you get an opportunity to see that, Alicia? And Natasha? Sometimes. Because sometimes that course feedback can often be given out and you don't get to see it as the developer. Yes. Yep, you do get to see it. That's good. I don't know whether this template has one. I'll just have a look, because we have continuous improvement. Because we're developing for all the regional tastes now, it's going to be hard for us, just because we do a backup and they restore it in their own system. We need to get the feedback from that system. Usually in the teacher resources, continuous improvement. So we've got a continuous improvement register in a forum, but of course each institute would have their own, and we'd have to get them to feed that back to our project. But it's a good something that you can do really well at your own institute. If you've got access as the administrator of the Moodle, that you have this register that the teachers can provide feedback in, but it'd be great if you could get that same feedback from the students who are actually working with it. But hopefully they'll pass that information to the teacher who can fill this out. Any other anyone else doing anything different? Okay. Well, maybe that's something you could start, you know, because, you know, it's so important to keep it improving, because, you know, you don't have a lot of time at the start of a project. So if you can, you know, find the gaps, I mean, and what could make it better. Even like different teachers have their own resources, and if they look at the content that's in the unit, they might be able to provide something extra to make it richer, and that's always good too. Yes, and that's a good idea. You could have one that both the student and the teachers can see, and both can add to it. Yeah. Although sometimes a teacher might, oh no, I think they share it anyhow. I'm going to say the teacher might think it, an assessment was not quite right, but then again, they can write that comment later if they don't want the student to see it. Okay, anyone else got any other ideas? Okay. Yeah, so that's just something very simple to do, which can capture that and actually allow it to happen. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's using badges. You could give them a badge if they put a comment in. It could work. We're not allowed to, at GoTape, we don't use badges because they're restricted, but some places do. So if you could have something like that, that could be quite nice. Okay. Is anyone else would like to add anything else? Oh, and one thing I will ask, I mean, I'm showing you a template there. Does anyone else use templates for their Moodle? Do you start off with some sort of set way of starting? We use Canvas. Okay, well, Canvas. Do you have does Canvas, like, can you set up a template? A lot of it is LTIs, isn't it, with Canvas? Yeah, so you do have a standard template, yeah, that you use. Yeah, that's good. All right. Okay, so I'm just having a look now at the chat. So I'll just read to you what's on there. They have a standard course template that can be downloaded from Canvas Commons. So Canvas must have different templates that you can use, and then you use from there, do you? That's right. Okay, beautiful. How many people are actually using Moodle in the room? We've got Dora, I know, and Jeanette and Glenn. Kate, whereabouts are you from, Kate? Are you from Tokol? Kylie, you're using Moodle? Here we go, a few messages coming up here. Oh, Kate's always from Tokol, that's right. Kylie, Loco, oh, which is a new online, I haven't heard of that one before. How are you finding that? Has that been a new learning management system for you, or have you always used that? I'll wait till she responds. Loco, I'm not sure of that one. One thing that I think it's really important to do when you are harvesting content and putting it into Moodle, or you're just restoring something and then just tidying it up, it's really, really important that you check all the links and just don't assume that they're going to work. And the other thing to check is whether they open in a new window or not. For accessibility, they say it should open in the same window, but that can often be a real issue. So we tend to have open in a new window, but the most important thing is actually saying that it does open in a new window. I think I'm just trying to see if I can see an example. of that?
Yeah, so Loco was used across O10 for quite some years, probably for going back 7 odd years ago. We started using Loco and developed it internally. However, a lot of TAFE Digital now will be going through back to Moodle. Our department's still using Loco, but yes, the push is now for us to go over to Moodle again.
Okay, fair enough.
But I agree, we do open a new window when I know we're meant to do open on the same window, but
Yeah.
open a new window is just easier.
Oh, of course it is. And as a learner, I mean, you don't want to, and if you don't remember to go back, yeah, you've got issues. I'm just trying to look for an example where what we do is that we actually put the wording open in a new window after it, and that's really important. So you're allowed to do it for accessibility as long as you tell the learner that it is going to open in a new window. And I'm just sort of seeing whether I could find an example of that. We do use a lot of videos in ours just to, like a picture tells 1,000 words, doesn't it? So we tend to use a lot of video to reinforce the learning. How many other people do that?
Yeah, we try to, if we can find something that meets our needs.
Yeah. And I suppose yours is a very specialised area, so you may not always find what you're looking for. Do you ever create videos yourself?
No, not as such. We've tried. I've done some. I don't know if any of you have seen the Go Animate, which is the
Go Animate, yes.
Yeah, so I mean it's pretty ordinary, but that gives you the flexibility of doing your own. But no, we don't have the budget to film them and get proper ones done.
I know, because it is quite expensive, isn't it? Yeah, but a lot of people say, you know, with this rapid development of content, even just getting your teachers to talk about different things, subject matter experts talking about different things, can create a bit more interest for you.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It's too much reading, particularly online.
Oh,
you know, the videos can subsidise a lot of it. Break
it up, yeah, for sure. I'm just trying to look for an example, but I'm not going to find one because I'm looking. That's sod's law, isn't it? Yeah. I'm just trying to quickly see one, but it doesn't look like it. Never mind. Okay, I think we might wrap it up here. I think it's a continuous conversation that we could actually add to our EOP. One question I did want to ask those who are in the room, we're next April, we're going to talk about e-portfolios, and I think Tracy's going to present on what they're using, and I believe it's Mahara. But there's other portfolios out there, Pedal Pad. I don't know, what are you using, Kylie? You got any?
No, but I'd really like to. I think we need to look at doing them. I think they're a great idea. It's just sort of converting and finding something we're happy with. Yeah,
true. So, okay, well, we'll definitely come in next month, because it'll be worth looking at what you can do with e-portfolios. I'm a real advocate for e-portfolios, and they can be used at all different levels. I mean, I have a teacher who is in electrical and uses it with Cert 2s. And what they do, they may not be, you know, large reflections, but what they do is they take images of what they've created and they write a little story about it. And as they progress in the course, you can see the writing actually gets better and there's more of it. And they start to get the real feel of it. And there's something that they can take home, like they've got a link that they can share with their boss or potential employer. They can show their parents what they've been doing or their teacher if they're doing vetting schools, what they've been doing. And then they can look back also and just remind themselves of how to do something. So at any level, I think e-portfolios work really well. Now, Dora, are you using e-portfolios at all with your students?
No, we're not. Their level of English is too low.
Yeah.
To be able to cope with e-portfolios. We tried with Mahara many years ago when they had the money that used to come from flexible something or other, but it was too complex when we tried with Mahara, and I don't use e-portfolios for myself. So how can I
They're
Yes.
good for vocational competency, actually. E-portfolios you can actually capture when you're doing PD, when you're reflecting on a conference that you're going to, you know, taking images. You put lots of things in your e-portfolio, and it's a great way of capturing all your vocational competency, which you need to have as part of ASQA to be able to show that you are keeping up to date.
I guess the good thing is I don't actually teach anymore, so
Yeah.
so competency is not industry competent.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
perhaps
fair enough.
I might revisit it in terms of
Revisit, because I'll show you some of the things that I've been doing in e-portfolios. Tracy's going to present what they've been doing, and I'll also get some examples from some of our classes at GoTape. We've got sport and recreation that use it quite extensively with their students, and they've actually put information about their programs that they're teaching students, because part of their course is their coaching and so forth. But they use it extensively, and the electrical students use it together with, you know, the Cert 4 in training and assessment.
Yeah, part of it is we're all so time poor now, but
Yeah.
it might be something that we will be revisiting for our teachers.
Okay, well, that's good. I mean, look, have a look at it. You might see it's not as difficult as it used to be. You're part of eWork, so it's really just a link going into the ePortfolio. And the others may have other types of portfolios that they can use. You've also got a blog which is in Moodle that you can use also as part of like a portfolio. But there's all different ways of doing it. But I think it's a good topic we can talk about. I am looking for a topic for May. So has anyone got any suggestions of what they would like to talk about in May? Or share in May? No suggestions at this time? You can always email me. So if you think of a topic that you would like to find more information about what others are doing, please drop me a line and we can use it as one of our topics for the May session. In May, it may be a little bit later in the month. I'm going on holiday, so later in the month in May would be good for our next session, but I'll give you fair warning. All right, so thank you for attending today, and if you have anything else to share, please do so and send me an email or contact me via phone. You should all have my details. What I'm going to do is, because of the new privacy situation, I'm going to send the information via email in a blind copy so that you get information about the session. You're quite welcome to forward it on to others in your team, because the more the merrier. Yeah, so I look forward to talking to you all in April. So in the meantime, have a wonderful Easter, and we'll talk about portfolios after Easter. Okay, thank you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye all.